Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We've got a really fantastic source to dig into today, one that completely flips the script on how we think about our digital footprint. It's called E-Waste, Harnessing the Circular Economy's Golden Opportunity. And look, we aren't just talking about cleaning up the planet here. We're talking about a massive, fundamental rewiring of how economics and innovation actually work. So get ready, because the way you look at your everyday technology, it's about to change forever. Right off the bat, I want you to think about a very specific spot in your home right now. Come on, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that one drawer in the kitchen, or maybe a dusty box shoved at the bottom of a closet, just completely filled with tangled charging cables from like 2012, an old laptop that literally won't hold a charge anymore, and probably 2 or 3 outdated smartphones. So we have to ask ourselves, is your discarded technology just trash, or is it actually a hidden treasure waiting to be unlocked? You see, our immediate instinct is to just view these items as the end of a journey. We bought them, we used them, they got old, and now they're just taking up space until we eventually toss them out. We tend to view them as this unavoidable, kind of annoying consequence of modern life. But what if that entire mindset is completely upside down? What if that junk drawer isn't a miniature landfill, but rather a vault of untapped potential? Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, Unpacking E-Waste, which establishes the baseline of our source. So e-waste traditionally refers to discarded electrical or electronic devices that have reached the end of their perceived useful life. And honestly, the absolutely crucial word there isn't electrical or even discarded, it's perceived. Think about it. We don't usually throw out a phone because the base materials have suddenly vanished or, disintegrated into dust. We discard these items simply because their utility to us in that specific moment has expired. Maybe the software got too slow, maybe the screen is cracked, or, let's be real, a newer, shinier model just hit the market. Society has traditionally viewed these incredibly complex, highly engineered pieces of technology simply as useless garbage the literal second they stop serving their primary function. We're basically slapping a psychological expiration date on physical materials that could otherwise last for centuries. But what if waste is just the completely wrong word entirely? Seriously, when we label something as waste, we're essentially giving ourselves psychological permission to just abandon it. We bury it in the ground, we burn it, we send it out of sight and out of mind, mostly because the word itself implies the item has zero remaining value. It implies the story is totally over. But if you pull back the curtain on these discarded electronics, you find a reality that completely contradicts that label. These devices are absolutely packed with highly valuable, intensely processed elements. We're talking gold, palladium, copper, and rare earth metals. By mislabeling all of this as just waste, our current system totally blinds us to the actual physical reality of what we're casually tossing into the trash.
Let's move along and see how this builds in Section 2, the circular economy, shifting the perspective.
What's really interesting here is how the very definition of a circular economy inherently rejects the entire concept of permanent disposal. It's an economic model specifically designed to completely eliminate waste by continually reusing resources and materials in a closed loop. And think about how brilliant that actually is. It doesn't just aim to reduce waste, it designs the whole concept of waste completely out of the system from day one. In a perfect circular economy, the end of one product's life is exactly the beginning of another's. It's kind of like a giant puzzle where every piece always fits somewhere. It perfectly mimics the natural world. I mean, there's no such thing as a landfill in a forest, right? A fallen tree just becomes the nutrients for the soil, which then grows the next tree. Applying this closed-loop thinking to our electronics fundamentally rewrites the rules of how we design and consume products. This brilliantly illustrates the exact paradigm shift we are talking about here. The linear economy? Well, that's just a straight line to a dead end. Make, use, trash. It relies on this completely impossible assumption that we somehow have infinite resources to extract from the earth and infinite space to just dump them when we're done. Contrast that directly with the circular economy. Recover, reuse, harness. It is a continuous, highly dynamic cycle. The materials literally never leave the economy. They simply change form. We recover the materials from the old device, we reuse those materials to create something totally new, and we harness that ongoing value indefinitely. It basically turns a dead-end street into a continuous roundabout of value. And that brings us to Section 3, a golden opportunity. This is really the conceptual climax of our source text. So rethinking this paradigm requires 3 very distinct steps. First up, rejecting traditional disposal. We have to actively, and I mean actively, stop treating landfills as an acceptable conclusion. Second, recognizing cyclical value. This is that massive mental shift where we stop seeing an old circuit board as broken trash and start seeing it as a dense cluster of valuable resources. And third, harnessing what was once discarded. Now, this isn't just a passive realization. It's an active, highly intentional process. We have to make the choice to extract and utilize this framework. Harnessing means putting in the real work, the innovation, and the infrastructure to turn that dusty old drawer of cables into the building blocks of tomorrow's technology. Golden opportunity. You know, this isn't just a catchy title. It's a very deliberate economic reality. It serves as a powerful reminder that what we casually toss into the trash actually holds immense, tangible wealth. Our e-waste contains literal precious materials. Doing this represents massive resilience in our supply chains, and honestly just a much smarter way to live. The source text is proving to us, without a doubt, that what we blindly call e-waste is actually one of the most highly valuable, concentrated resources we currently have at our fingertips. It is quite literally an economic powerhouse, just waiting to be tapped. Which brings us to our final thought for the day. How will you shift your perspective to harness this circular economy in your own life? This entire explainer has been about moving away from a linear mindset of make, use, trash to a dynamic, circular view of endless value. You know now that your old tech isn't just garbage, it's a genuine golden opportunity. So the next time you're holding a device that has reached the end of its perceived useful life, what are you going to do? Are you going to just let it be part of the linear problem, or will you find a way to plug it back into the loop? I challenge you to look at your digital world not as a stream of disposable products, but as a continuous, amazing cycle of valuable resources. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me today, and I will see you in the next explainer.